so in fact he did spank the child. Yes. Okay. When you say spanking, what did you spank him with? I gave him 3 weeks with the belt. 3 weeks with the belt. But we passed the color picture.
Okay. So your son is born.
Right.
2007, June of 2007.
Right.
You move a year and a half later.
Right.
And now you guys are going back and forth with some type of visitation concerning
Yeah, visitation. And even then, I wasn't even seeing my son because I even offered the first year he was even born. I even offered, okay, we can be friends for, you know, my son's sake. That's it, you know. But now I can't be your friend. And I'm like, well, that's all that I want or whatever, you know, be friends for my son so we can be, you know, do the co-parenting thing. But it wasn't even working then. And I'm talking about when he was months old. And I even suggested we didn't even have his first birthday party together. So you couldn't even be, you know, an adult enough to even just come together and have a birthday party.
So you guys had separate birthday parties?
Yeah, when he turned 1.
So was yours here in Atlanta? Or
no, it was in Tennessee.
You stayed in Tennessee for his party. Okay. Wow. And so you're divorced. Contempts start coming out the wazoo because I'm reading father filed a second action for contempt against mother, alleging that mother had failed to transport the minor child to the designating meeting place in Chattanooga in willful violation of the order.
Right.
So Chattanooga's your halfway point.
It's really not halfway for me.
Right.
It's decent, you know, for her. All she had to do is drive 88 miles.
Right. So she's got about an hour and a half. You've got 2.
Yeah.
Yep, to go. Okay, so she's not meeting you.
Not meeting me. I even would call her and ask her. She'd even say, I'm on my way. And I'm sitting there for a whole hour waiting for her to show up. Don't show up.
So you're filing more motions. Mm-hmm. Motion after motion after motion. She's still not complying. What do you do then, Carl? Because you're going the right way.
Right.
You're going to the court. But the court's not helping you. Now what?
I'm not seeing them, so I filed for custody because at this point I'm starting to see it's more things happening where my son was given medicine that he ain't even supposed to need.
It says first he would shake his head back and forth when he would start getting a headache. Then this transition into smelling his hands, then wanting to wash his hands. And now he sucks on his stomach and draws his mouth to one side. So these are the things that she's noticing is happening with your son Jeremiah. Mm-hmm. This is why she says she's taking him to the doctor. But when I look at this, one of the things that the doctors report is he's actually under stress. It says, does report feeling nervous, anxious, and worried frequently. Does not report feeling sad or depressed frequently. Has never been diagnosed with anxiety or depression. Is not currently in counseling. Acknowledged stressors include divorce 3 or 4 years ago, back and forth, or back at court over and over the past year concerning visitation issues. So at the end of the day, all of this going back and forth is stressing your son out.
That's based on everything that she's stating, everything that was what she stated. And the doctor was just writing that down. All of that thing.
Okay.
That
This is lifestyle history.
Yeah, this is based on what she was saying. So on top of that, first of all, my son don't even remember the divorce. So why are you even in the office with him, right in front of him, talking about he's depressed about these divorces, trying to manipulate his brain? But everything that she's stating, that's how she feels. That's how she's doing tics and all these other type things or whatever. It's all based on her internet research and saying that he have headaches. I mean, if you look at the nutrition part of it, any child, any adult will have a headache if they're not getting the proper food or nutrition.
And they also say there's no restricted diffusion, there's no mass or mass effect, there's no anything abnormal enhancements or anything. Everything is normal concerning Jeremiah.
Right.
So your son is getting checked out. MRIs come back clean. Mm-hmm. Nothing's wrong with him. But I do see here where it comes to family medical history, the mother has migraines, a long history of very bad migraines, and the mother is actually diagnosed bipolar. How do you deal with that and your son is in her care?
That's why immediately right then when I seen that, immediately I went on and filed for custody, because he's not even in a safe environment at this point, because everything that you took him to the doctor and said based on your internet research and all these other things is basically based on you.
So when did you file for custody?
I filed for custody, that was in 2013.
Okay. Well, this is what it says. It says there are reasons why the court should change the residence of the minor child and why custody should be placed with the father in Georgia. Likewise, there are reasons why the court should leave custody with the mother in Tennessee. The parties have stipulated to a material change in circumstances, and the court finds that said changes are substantial, which justifies the court in considering these issues. With that said, when looking at the statutory factors, the court respectfully finds in the minor child's best interest that he remain with mother in Tennessee, primarily because of the issue of continuity of placement.
On that comment right there, I really think that the court system is biased because of why would you put him back into a situation where it's already been found true that she was giving him medicine that he did not need based on her internet research, and you know she's diagnosed with bipolar at this point, but just because he's familiar with that place, that's the best interest? Really? Is that really the best interest for my son? And on top of that, before we even left court, my lawyer also stated to the court system, if you don't remove him from this situation, it's going to turn into physical. Not this, just mental right now. You're talking about mental abuse. It's going to turn into physical abuse next.
We go from mental abuse to now something major happens, and it's, you know, we're looking at this initial custody order May 28, 2013, but now we have a situation that happens December 2013.
And December the 20th, that was the worst day of my whole entire life.
Okay.
Because I went to go pick my son up from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, and I got home, and that's when I discovered right then and there, was getting ready to put my son in the shower and taking his clothes off. And that's when me and my wife discovered that my son had been abused. I took him to the hospital, and that's where they found bruises and contusions, and also Jeremiah also, they had him in the room, and Jeremiah also told him exactly what happened to them.
Okay, so the judge is recusing himself. Your son is abused physically.
Right.
I have seen the pictures.
Right.
Your pictures are 3 days after.
It happened.
And I can tell you that even my heart jumped the first time you showed them to me.
Right.
I need to know as a father, what are you thinking? People want to know the emotion and the thought behind, I've been going through and I've been trying to tell the courts what's going to happen to my son. And they have not listened to you. They've ignored you. It went from emotional to now it's physical. Right. What happened when you saw your son?
At this point, I'm angry. I'm angry at this point because before, with the medicine incident, all I kept hearing is, oh, just be calm, stay calm, and you know, the courts gotta, don't show any anger or anything. This is my son. This is my son that you talking about, that his life is in danger. And I've been telling them this. I'm talking about 6 months even before this incident even happened. Because an abusive person, they don't just start off physically. They start off mentally. And that's what was wind up happening. He was getting abused even by taking medicine that he didn't even need. And on top of that, with that medicine, it causes diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, all of that. So why even give a child something like that, period, when he didn't even need it? And now, you talking about physical abuse? And then on top of that, I mean, I have to see my son suffer. Because when I asked him what happened, he just got into my arms and just cried. And it's like,
Did you cry with him?
I had no choice but to, because it hurt.
Right, I was gonna say, there's no way.
It hurt. I mean, at this point, I'm angry, I'm hurt, and up until this day, I'm still. Nothing will basically anything will satisfy what happened, because of you talking about at the time that he was just 6 years old. You know, I mean, that really doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense at all.
And this court case is not, this abuse, I should say, court case, it makes news.
Yeah.
To the point where they're like, okay, we're going to grant him this protection. We're going to give this personal protection order. We're going to give him his son. He's with you. He's acting, doing all of the great things that he needs to do.
Right.
And then what happens?
Then the courts feel like that, first of all, the order of protection was granted against her.
Right.
The order of protection wasn't granted against him, which is, you know, the preacher and the teacher. It wasn't granted against him because they feel like that I'm not credible. He's more credible than me. And a person sits in court, admits to doing it, and he says he only touched my son 3 times. Now, bruising like that, I mean, okay, well, what you hit him with then? If you hit him 3 times, why is it 4 markings?
Well, what did he say he hit him with?
He said a belt.
Okay.
And he said it was a belt this thick.
Well, I've seen the pictures and I know that's not a belt mark by any means. But let's go into who this person is, because there's protection order against her, but you have your suspicions on why there's not one against him. Who is this gentleman?
This gentleman, he's a preacher and a teacher.
Well known in his community.
And well known in his community. And also on top of that, his father and uncle is well known in the community.
And they have major connections.
Yeah, major connections. Because everybody, all the politicians and things, they have a meeting at their church.
And so Jeremiah's here with you now in Atlanta. Everything's going well. You even take him to have him assessed by a therapist.
Yeah.
Then I know we got involved with and helped you decide on what you were going to do concerning bringing jurisdiction and authority to Atlanta.
Right.
The ex parte is going to be up. You're filing these documents to have Jeremiah stay.
Right.
So what happens when you go to court?
When I go to court, all of a sudden, there's a order comes from Tennessee stating that Georgia has no jurisdiction anymore. And Georgia don't have jurisdiction, and saying that, you know, this has already been discussed. The same thing has been discussed in Tennessee, but they were saying it was nothing new. So therefore, they didn't have no jurisdiction. But it actually was something new, because the order of protection was granted August 2014. You're talking about a statement from the counselor that was new, that happened in November. And on that document, it states that Jeremiah is afraid and did not want to go back to Tennessee. So that's something new. So I'm trying to do at this point everything that I can so he would not even be returned.
But you also have allegations of what this pastor said concerning your son. And so you had fears of him returning too. What was said?
Outside the courtroom in Tennessee, not in Georgia, outside the courtroom in Tennessee, during his mother's hearing, the boyfriend had stated that right before we walked into court, he stated that if he would have had to put his hands on my son again, I wouldn't have one. He'd kill him. Now that right there is a hard pill to even swallow at this point, because I'm going to the courts, doing everything that I can, and following all the right steps that I was supposed to follow.
You've even taken your son to a therapist, a licensed therapist, and he says to the therapist, "I am scared of Mr. George." The therapist initiated further discussion of Jeremiah's thoughts he wanted to share. He then reported, "I don't want to go back to Tennessee. The session was spent assessing the family's current need for for family therapy.
Yeah.
So this is the point where you're knowing he has to go back, and he knows he has to go back.
Yeah.
And then what happens with him having to go back?
Then he has to go back after I have followed all the right steps. And before we even move any further, I took all the right steps that I know I possibly could take. Now, it's been other cases that I have seen where people have took things into their own hands. I didn't take that right where I took it into my own hands, because even that day on Christmas Day when he got abused, I could have easily put Jeremiah back in the car and came back to Atlanta.
Right.
But I didn't want to take things into my own hands, because by me being in jail, what can I do by helping my son? So at this point, you telling me that, first of all, a guy that's not even related to my son, this going even against every state law, not just Tennessee law, not just Georgia law, in every state. This man not even kin to my son, and he put his hands on him. He has no right to put his hands on my son, period.
But your son still has to go back.
But he still has to go back.
And you take him back December 17th? Is that when you take him back?
No, I didn't take him back December.
That's when the order is filed.
That's when the order was filed.
Okay. When did you take him back?
I didn't take him back because that's December 22nd was when the proceeding happened in Georgia. Okay. So when that came in, that's when his mother had to come to court here and all of that. So at 2 o'clock, the judge was saying it's nothing that they can do, and she was trying every way in her power to have jurisdiction over this case because she was worried about Jeremiah's safety, but she just didn't have jurisdiction anymore.
And that brings us to up to speed where we are now.
Yeah.
So what's happening with this situation right now?
Jeremiah hasn't even been back 90 days. 90 days. And I haven't talked to him since January, haven't seen him since January. Then on top of that, now he started school. He tried to leave school 8 different times. And the principal had no idea what was going on because it was told that I was the one who abused him. So all these lies are being told on me. So when I go up to the school, I'm finding out that he's suspended from school, and I'm asking the principal why. Said he tried to leave 8 different times. They was trying to get him, and they didn't even know that he had got abused like that.
But where is he leaving in his mind from what they said to you? Where is he leaving trying to go?
He keeps saying that he, really just in a 7-year-old mind, they think Atlanta's right down the street.
Right, so he's saying, I'm going to my daddy's house, and he's trying to leave.
He's trying to leave. And then, on top of that, he's acting out. He don't want to be there at school. He's saying that, he want to go home. And I asked the principal, did she even know anything about what had happened?
And I just want to be very clear. I want that moment to hit where those that are listening, your son is in school. He is attempting to leave school 8 different times.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yeah.
In his mind, he's saying, I'm going to my daddy's house.
Yeah, that's in his mind. But
that's strong, Carl.
That's strong.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's a pause.
Yeah.
That is a strong moment. How old is he right now?
7.
He's 7 years old, and he's thinking he's walking to your house because nobody's picking me up to take me there. All of these different things are happening. My daddy is not being able to come and do what we need to do.
Yeah.
I've been in the house with him, and that's where I want to go back to. So I'm going to take it into my own hands as a 7-year-old to go back to my daddy's house. That's strong.
And he's acting out, and she took him to this guidance center that I didn't even know. And at the guidance center, a person that's not even a certified doctor or anything, now they saying that he has ADHD and this behavioral thing, want to diagnose him with all these problems. But she's taking the school documents that she took him to the guidance center 3 months after he got abused. You talking about in 2014. 2014, that's when she took him and he was want to be diagnosed with ADHD. Now, why wasn't he ADHD at here in Georgia at the school in Georgia. You know, why isn't that? So you taking them old documents from 2014 to have want something to be wrong with him when my son is perfectly fine. When all she have to do is just follow the order and let my son see me.
Right.
That's it.
Because I'm going to read something that the court order says that we were reading off of from July 2013. This is the original order that you got from the courts concerning, I guess, visitation and when they amended it.
Right.
But it says here, the court hopes that parties will talk about good opportunities and qualities that they each possess. Instead, when they choose to air all the bad things about the other party, they have the opportunity to do so. And then they are magically expected to go out and cooperate with one another. Somebody has to grow up, and it has to be these parents. Both parents need to recognize that the sooner they can cooperate with each other and encourage the child with respect to the other parent, things will look up for the child. And when things look up for the child, things will look up for the parties. I think that's a great place to understand, because you're saying nothing's wrong with Jeremiah. Well, there's something clearly wrong with Jeremiah, and what's wrong with Jeremiah is he wants time with his father.
Right.
That's what's wrong with Jeremiah.
Right.
So I would never convey that there's nothing wrong.
Right.
Jeremiah is very aware of the discord between his parents. Jeremiah is very aware, even at 7, the type of tension that goes on between the two of you. But Jeremiah, even in the midst of that, as long as he sees you, he'll be fine with that. So I want to know where Jeremiah is right now today with this whole situation.
Like I said, he's acting out, and I just found this out a week ago, that now he has to go to another school because of the behavior issues, and they said that if I didn't sign off on him going to another school as far as the behavior issues, then they would fail him for 2nd grade. And I don't want my son going through that. So it's basically, I'm stuck in between, because I want what's best for my son, but at the same time, like I had let them know, he was perfectly fine here in Georgia. Perfectly fine. No behavior issues, on the honor roll, perfect attendance, enjoying life. But now, he's just haven't even been back 90 days, and you telling me it's already chaos again?
You fought for Jeremiah. I mean, you have stacks and stacks of court orders. What will you say to Jeremiah today?
I tell Jeremiah that I love him, and I'm doing everything in my power to try to bring you home, get you out of this terrible situation, and I just love you. And you just continue on praying, and I'm praying with you and for you, and I'm here. I'm here for you.
I don't think anybody's minimizing the fact that mom knew. Yeah, she stated that she allowed Mr. Brooks to spank the child. I don't think she was thinking he was gonna intentionally abuse the child. Okay, that's just what came out of the spanking. But she is allowed to do whatever she wants.
So, Carl, what do you want to take place out of doing this interview? What's the purpose of this?
I want some justice to be done. First of all, they messed up the laws. I mean, they didn't even abide by the laws. It seemed like everything is biased. Here's a man that had no right putting his hands on my son. No arrest been made. Take it to the grand jury. The grand jury states that DCS and the DA, they did what they supposed to do. How can you go off of pictures that a week and 2 days old? You can't go by that. You got to go by what's right. And then on top of that, you cannot override. I don't care if you the court system or not. You can't override what a doctor says. If a doctor states that it's abuse, it's abuse. And how can one court system in Nashville, Tennessee, find or order protection and find abuse, but you telling me Rutherford County, they don't see that it's abuse? All because of accreditation?
Playing sick, he wasn't sick. There was a their house. She wanted to bring it to my house. Spanked it.
Okay.
Who, was it your idea to spank him, or was it her idea, or how did that happen? It was her idea, and I said I would do it.
Right. Why did you say you would do it?
Well, boys, I have 3 sons. I have 4 kids. I have 3 sons. And my son, thank God, made college. And out for it as well. And I know boys, there's not a male around, sometimes gets a little rambunctious. And unfortunately, I've been in court with these 2 a number of times, and I don't see them get along in a way that the child is getting what he needs from a male.
Okay.
So I agreed for that reason that I would do it reluctantly, and since it happened, I wish I hadn't done it, because number 1, I realized it's against the law, which I know they say ignorance is no excuse for the law, but I learned a valuable lesson, because Mr. Turnbull slammed my reputation. And I've worked hard to build it up, and I've tried to be an honorable person, and this incident has messed with my integrity, so for that reason, I wish that it never happened.
I want justice to be done. These 2, they was not charged with anything about abusing my son or anything. They just got away with it scot-free.
So justice is the 2 of them, your ex-wife and her now boyfriend, to be charged with abuse.
Child abuse, that's correct.
Child abuse. And then your son relocated here in Atlanta.
That's correct.
And have a permanent order to be in your care and in your home.
That's correct.
Okay. So what if people said, he's on a mission just to get his son, and that's why he's doing all of this, and that's why he's saying all of this? What would you say to that?
At this point, I'm trying to get my son. I'm trying to save my son's life. So it doesn't matter what people think, people's opinions. I'm going to stand my ground, because my son's life is more important than anybody's opinion, period. And if anybody else be truthful with themselves and had any type of, love for children these days. There's too many kids nowadays getting put back into a dangerous situation today. Even it's been shown that Tennessee even mishandled cases. It take them 6.4 times to even start a real investigation. So mine was just 1 time. So you know what they did with mine, they just threw it up under the rug.
It's true.
I mean, so do kids have to continue on dying? This is my point. Do kids got to continue on dying? Because I'm going to tell the world now, my son won't be the next to die. I'm going to keep fighting, because I don't want that phone call and then everybody will say, oh, it probably something could have been done. Look at all the kids in Georgia. Look at all the kids in Tennessee, all over the world. You hear stories every single day. It was just a story that just happened yesterday and today, where a mother decapitated the baby's head off that didn't supposed to be around the child. Bipolar. All these different things.
Which is similar to your case, is what you're feeling.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So, I mean, what is it? Does we have to continue on being late when it comes down to kids and wait till they die and then want to do something? Because in this case, this guy not even, again, not kin to my son. She took him to go get that done. She even knew about it. But Adrian Peterson, he goes to jail and gets locked up and have court cases and all of this for whooping his own son. Now, what's the problem with my case?